Welcome to the channel. This is part 2 of probably a multi-part series where we're going over this beautiful BMW R75/5 and we're kind of covering all the maintenance points, safety points. This bike's been sitting for quite some time, so we're trying to just restore it to its former glory. We're not doing a full-on restoration or anything, but just more or less get it to a point where it can be considered reliable and be driven, drive it to work or something if you really wanted to. Take it down the highway safely and not have to worry about it, breaking down, blowing a tire out. It needs to accelerate good and stop even better. So kind of the second step is just kind of going over everything, making probably a pretty lengthy parts list of just all the components that are going to need to be replaced. A lot of people in the comments after my part 1 video, I'll link the part 1 video below in the description, but a lot of people have said, oh, you just got to rebuild the carburetors and throw a new battery in it. Well, yes and no. It has sat for quite some time, so there's going to be some other things that we're going to want to replace. So now I'm going to kind of just go over the bike. We're going to do a big general check over front to back of everything that we're going to need to order to kind of make this bike just reliable and safe. So starting at the front, definitely going to need new tires and new tubes. The tires you can see in the center of the tread, even though the tread is good, there's still deep cracks in the center of the tread. And the sidewall is even worse. They do hold air, but these are, huge safety concern. The fork gaiters, this is more of a cosmetic concern, but they have these dry rotted cracks that are gonna need to be, addressed. As far as the engine goes, it does turn over, so we know the cylinder walls are not rusted or anything, but there's still some little oil leaks of dried up seals that we're going to have to address. The boots for the carburetors here are going to need to be replaced. These intake pipes, you can see here, they're all kind of cracked and dry rotted. The fuel line is super hard, and just things like that are going to have to be replaced. The carburetors, if you look in the part 1 video, the carburetors actually, it was stored properly, but I can almost guarantee you all the O-rings and stuff inside the carburetor are dry rotted and gonna need to be replaced. So I will do a separate video overhauling these carburetors, but let's keep moving here. You can see the battery box. The previous owner or some owner along the way put kind of a Chauncey battery box in there, and we're just going to put the correct battery in there, so we won't even use this battery box. But you can see he kind of modified it, so he has these like washers riveted in here. I don't know why, but we'll have to, I don't even know what he has going on here. It looks like a Velcro strap or something, but we're going to get the correct battery box straps. Also, I noticed he doesn't have the ground cable. We'll move over to the other side. There's supposed to be a ground wire that goes down to this bolt here and up to the battery. So I think there's going to be some electrical work that needs to be done. We got new spark plug wires. These wires are it's kind of a failure point. These wires are old. If you move them like that, there's little small hairline cracks in it. They'll arc out from rubbing on the case after so many years. They'll start arcing on the case there. I don't know what he has going on here, but some sort of foam zip tied there. So I don't know why that's like that. But this boot here, all these rubber components, you can see there's these deep cracks. So that'll leak oil. And then on top of all the rubber components, rebuilding the carburetors, fuel lines, spark plug wires. There's probably some seals under here. You can see the push rod seals. Again, any rubber component, you can see that looks like it was leaking oil prior, and now after it's sat for quite some time, I could almost guarantee it's gonna be even worse than what it was. So, underneath here, it's pretty clean, but You know, you can see oil back here. There's this boot, drive shaft boot here that we'll probably address. And yeah, obviously the rear tire is in no better condition than the front. We're gonna replace the condenser, the points unit up here, probably re-gap the points as well as adjust the valves, change the engine oil, change the transmission oil, change the rear drive oil. So just put together a big parts list, get that ordered up. You can order all of the parts we're gonna be using on this bike are ordered from bmwpartsguy.com. I will also link that below in the description. And if there's something on that website that you do not see that you have had trouble looking for, you can message me at my email. I'll put that in the description as well. You can message me there and I can pretty much get you anything for these old airheads or even newer stuff if you got something else at home. All right, we got some parts now. So what I ended up ordering, this is probably one of 2 or maybe 3 waves of parts coming. I got brand new fuel petcocks. The petcocks on the old tank over here are super crusty and dried out. 100% guaranteed they'll leak. So we got 2 of them, one for the left side and right side. Also got new set of spark plug wires like I talked about earlier. A tachometer cable with that boot that was all dry rotted. New fork gators that are in excellent condition. We also got new fuel line, the left and right intake pipes for the carburetor, carburetor rebuild kit with diaphragms, all the O-rings, gaskets, all that stuff's getting replaced. The battery straps to replace that air box there. We also got a new battery, the little rubber pieces to replace that rubber part under there, holding the carburetor on, fuel filters. We got tires and tubes on the way. We also got some miscellaneous seals for the engine that are gonna need to be replaced. And then like I talked about earlier, we'll get some engine oil, transmission oil, rear drive oil. And then hopefully one of these days you'll see this thing start, hopefully in one of these videos. Hopefully this series isn't too long, but probably the first thing I'm gonna tackle is just draining all 3 oils. I don't even wanna try starting it with the current oil that's in there. Then we'll go through the carburetors, start replacing the fuel lines, air filter, put the battery in it, but stay tuned for part 3. One of the biggest things you can do to help support my channel is to click the join button below. It's in the bottom right corner of the video, and that costs $4.99 a month. So when you do click the join button, that $4.99 a month is gonna get you pretty much personal help at the drop of a hat. If you're, let's just say you have a airhead just like this and it has a runnability issue, I give you my email and my cell phone. You can call me anytime, shoot me an email, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of walk you through troubleshooting and diagnostics or whatever help you may need. If you have a question about, how much oil my bike takes, I'll be able to answer that for you right away. And usually I'll respond within, if you email me, which is probably gonna be the best way to get a hold of me, usually I'm gonna respond within 30 minutes. So I'm pretty good at responding about emails, but it's gonna give you personal tailored help for whatever bike you have.